All right, so the last step here before gluing this piece of track down, a couple things have happened. I've got my rail joiners in here. Those have been installed. And I tinned the top of the brass screws. And in the Ask Me How I Know That department, if you don't tin the tops of these and you lay your rail on top of the brass screw itself, and you wait, even with a good soldering station, you wait for enough heat, because this brass screw is just a giant heat sink, enough heat to flow your solder, you're going to melt the nylon around this fixture. Again, that's ask me how I know that. So we've tinned the tops of them. The cork between the fixture is smooth. This one actually didn't require any sanding to bring that to grade. This right here is smooth, and this right here, this is not flush, but back a ways it is a little bit. So in the tear out, just a little bit was torn out, but the track is not raised there. Again, if we don't ensure that our cork bed is nice and smooth and perpendicular with the end plate, we're just going to reintroduce the same problems we're trying to eliminate. So this will be glued down with the same silicone adhesive. I use the clear that comes out white, and when it turns clear, I know that it's dry. I'll get my tie spacing set. You can see this piece of track is being set over, each one of these is going to go over a gap master. And I've been very critical of the gap masters or any other PC-based material for anchoring the rail. It's just not a suitable structural component. The bond on this, between this cladding and the PC material, this bond is only as strong as the adhesive underlaying it. And every time you put heat on it with a solder gun, you actually weaken that bond. We used these extensively on another module set, and over half of them have already failed. So we've got sufficient experience with these, and they're not suitable for a module end. But they are fantastic for what they're designed to do. I use them over the optical detectors where we need to not only bridge over that, but gap the rail. So they're perfect for that. I've also used them in another position here between this crossover, and I just installed the styrene to close in the frog gaps last night, and this number 10 curve switch. The Texas heat goes from 116 down to 8 degrees in a 6-month period, and so I was getting sun kinks or rail buckles right here. It's actually popping on me. So I've got a gap master under here. It's soldered down. Then I've actually used some 22 gauge copper wire strut as an anchor between there. Not the most prototypical, but it is what required to endure the stress. I've also installed numerous expansion joints throughout this module. As the track goes down and the heat does its thing, I'm finding out where the weak points are and installing expansion joints. I've also used the gap masters here as an anchor to this rail bridge, and that may or may not have been a great idea. We'll figure that out in time. This bridge rail, the bridge rail here is secured, but this one has popped on me, and I don't know if that's heat-induced stress, but at some point I may have to come back and install a expansion joint here. But back to this fixture, I am going to leave an expansion joint here. For any stresses introduced, we're anchoring the rail here, and then we're going to anchor the rail here. And there's not going to be much room for this, or no room at all for the rail to expand off the end of the module. So get this in place, Once it dries, I'll come back and solder the rail to the top of the screw head. Get the second piece of track installed, and then and a nice test, take this Xometry printed 3D fixture and turn it around to the Tower 106 Shapeways fixture, bottom up together, and we'll see how our rail lines up.